amazing weekend. We all came back alive. The guys all the guys all killed it. But yeah, no, it was interesting. You know, coach had some scuffles. There's a rhinoceros in the stadium, attacked us. Where do we begin, guys?
Maybe we start with Xander, no?
Start with Xander's fight.
Oh, okay. So Xander's like, you just never know what to expect, you know, because he'll just come out with something crazy. But yeah, he came out saucing on the kid. Kid was tough too, ate some good shots, but really like second round, that spinning back kick was just like all she wrote. Xander just clipped him right in the liver. And that's when the beef started too with their coach. For whatever reason, I think he blamed the corner for that kick landing.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I was in the corner. I was in the cage talking to Xander, and I heard the screaming. You can see in the video, too. I, like, turn around to talk to the ref. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why he's upset or why I was like, I didn't do anything. And, yeah, then, I don't know. I guess he had his attention fixated on Ryan.
Dude, I didn't say a word. I just looked up, and this dude's like, F you, I'm going to kill you in the back, like, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, bro, me? Like, it's like, well, I'm right here. Like, you can come around the cage. Nothing's stopping you, but.
Kobe, where were you?
So
during all this?
We were ringside, right? Because we were in the chairs ringside. And the problem just became we couldn't actually cheer or anything. We had to be quiet the whole time. So, like, when Xander's piecing this guy up, it was kind of a bummer because, like, we can't cheer or anything or they're going to kick us out. So, like, it got really hard when he folded the fool because, like, it was literally feet from us. But we kept it in, and then
it should have been stopped right there.
I thought they stopped it. We were celebrating at the end of round 2 because we thought he stopped it, and then we got a stern scolding because they didn't stop it.
I'd figured that they weren't stopping it. Because it was so close to the end of the round,
right.
I figured they were going to give him that time to recover.
The referee hopped in, though. Like, he hopped in and looked like he was shielding him.
Yeah, I think because Xander was actively beating on him and the round ended.
Right. But, like, it looked like one of those stoppages where the ref comes in and, like, shields the guy, and then that's that.
Yeah.
But, like...
Well, he was hurt. I think because he's an amateur, they probably should have stopped that because Xander proceeded to drop him again in the third and really pound on him.
Yeah.
He never recovered from that spinning back kick.
Those linger too, man. Like,
no, he couldn't. It was very telling, like, at the end of the fight because Xander's opponent was folded over. He couldn't even stand up for the decision, you know, so it was a pretty bad one.
I think I read it as a split decision.
Well, and then afterwards, I don't know how it was a split decision, but I remember afterwards we walked out of the cage, and I walked to the back, and I saw his opponent. He was laid out on one of those mats, and I walked over to just say, "Hey, thank you for the fight," you know, because he fought great.
Yeah,
you know, it was a good fight for, you know, their being debut fighters, and they both were like super composed, and they were fighting like it was high skill level. I was very impressed. And I went over to tell him that, you know, and out of nowhere, like, I get my shirt grabbed, and it's like, not so tough now. And I look up, and this is this gigantic man just angry at me. I think he mistook me for Ryan because...
That happens.
I mean, you know, he's almost as good looking as me.
Well, so I already knew when they were raising their hands in the back, he literally tapped his other cornerman, and he's like, I'm going to F that dude up in the back, you know? Like, I heard him say that, so I was like, all right, we're about to get in something. And when we get back there, he was, like, waiting for me, and he's like, what do you have to say now? What do you have to say now? And I'm like, dude, I didn't say anything to begin with, but we smoked you guys, like, fair and square. It was a fight. Like, what do you want? And then, like, some official was like, yo, just keep going. So I started, like, walking away, and that's when you came, and then he directed his energy towards you. I think you were just, like, the next closest person from our team.
Dude, I was literally just trying to, like I say, pay respect to the kid because, like, he's the one that was hurt. You know, I didn't see the big guy. I don't know where he was, but I remember, like, he grabbed me, I turned, and then I hear Ryan, like, don't run up on my coach like that. And then, like, we exchanged some more words, and then security broke us up. And then so as I'm walking away, I just remember I heard some more like commotion, and I turn around and he was there like, I'm gonna get you. And he's like, you know, he's with security at this point. He hadn't started hooking them yet. And I was just like, dude, whatever, man. Like, come on, man. I guess, you know, and in my head, I'm like, he's with security. So I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna badger him a little bit, just a little extra. Cause like,
Nothing's gonna happen.
nothing. Well, it wasn't like that. I was afraid that nothing was gonna happen, but I was like, if he gets if I get him just a little bit more animated, security will get rid of this guy, you know, and I don't have to deal with him anymore.
For the folks at home, guys, this guy is easily like what, 6'2", 350 pounds.
No, that fool was like 6'4".
Conservative, but still like big dude, big guy.
It was hilarious when they had our group separated. Like, dude turned into a D1 linebacker, bro. He just started shucking the security, like sprinting towards us. And I don't think anything was more comical than the police officer that was walking towards us, telling us to walk away with this like gigantic man like sprinting at us behind him.
And like the security guard in question here was like super calm. Just like, yeah, go in the back. You guys are fine. Go, just go. And he has no idea what's directly behind him is just this. It looked like one of those hippopotamus that come out of the water, pal. It was big guy. And he was going.
No, I looked up, and you know, I got into my ready stance because I'm like, oh man, it's gonna go down, because he's literally throwing security guards off of him, like they're flying. Like one guy was like horizontal in the air. I'm like, oh no. And the nice guy, the nice little old guy that was in front of us, he's like, oh, you're all good. Just turn around, just walk. You're good. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not good. He's like, no, turn around. He started getting stern with me, and I'm like, no, dude, you turn around. We're being charged right now. Like turn around, look behind you. And he turned. He was like, oh. And this fool was like, I mean, it was crazy. I was scared for my life.
Dude, when you put your hands and started bouncing, I was like, all right, I'll follow suit. And so I just like guard up too, and I was like, dude, this is like Rush Hour 4. We're about to go Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan on his ass right now.
No, so I put my hands up because I'm like, he got past 4 security guys, 4 officers, and he's barreling towards me, and we got arguably the oldest, nicest, most gentle security guard in front of us, you know? So I'm like, oh, we're fighting. He's barreling towards me. This is going to be a collision. And I just remember I reached into my back pocket, and I got my corner scissors and opened them, because I'm like, dude, this is going to be bad. Like, it's going to be bad, and I don't want to come out on the like the bad end of that collision. So I was just going to like let him run into the scissors. But thankfully, you know who it was? And we got him on camera. It was the Sparta, whoever worked for the Sparta rep. I don't know what he was doing, but I know he worked for Sparta. He's actually the one that stepped in.
That dude was a cool guy.
No, that guy was a G, bro.
The driver?
No, not the driver.
He was the dude that later on was like walking us from our like locker room. Like,
okay, yeah.
He was strapped up.
Yeah.
The gun on his ankle.
Good. Hey, good.
Yeah.
It was funny too, because after they like separate us, we get back to the locker room, and then Xander's like, yo, I gotta use the restroom. And I just had a hunch. I was like, I'm gonna just go with this kid. Like, you never know. But like, really, the commission dropped the ball. Like, when you act out like that, you should be out, you know? But we go, and Xander goes in the bathroom, and I'm like on alert. And that dude that like stopped him was like, man, that was crazy. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, he's not in the back anymore. Like, you guys are good, you know? So I start going on my phone, and then I hear, oh, he's alone now. And I look up, and I'm like, oh, no. Because I was like, now, like, it's 50-50, you know? If he gets on top of me, it's going to be a bad night. None of the homies around. But luckily, the police were on point.
No, yeah, and we were in the back. I thought he got kicked out of the venue, like, period.
He should have.
Yeah, no. They just took him out of the corner and put him back in the crowd to continue
Next to
getting
the bar.
drunk and getting angry.
They let him fuel up.
Yeah, no, that was
Very angry man.
that was something else, man. And I could hear like chiming in like throughout the rest of the fights, because then Jeff fought, and I could hear, I just figured I thought it was just angry crowd. They don't like us. We're not from there, you know?
I mean, really, the crowd as a whole all night. I've never been actively booed as I'm walking out. Now, there was probably some other factors in with that, but we all got booed coming out. Very anti-Oklahoma crowd.
Dude, the team went against all odds that weekend and came out on top. Like, they did everything they could to throw us off, changing the rounds from 5 to 3, changing gloves last second. Like,
firearms.
It just...
Assault.
Yeah. Intimidation.
Well, so I'm going to go over Jeff's fight really quick. Because that was probably... I don't want to say it like... I don't mean it in a bad way, but it was the most... like that was the low point or the most calm part of the evening, because between camps, like their coach, their fighter, like I was cool with them. Like I liked them. And they seemed to like us, and it was a very respectful exchange. And then your fight came to be, and, you know, it wasn't. And, you know, my problem with those guys is just, like, one, that should have been Christian's title 2 years ago or a year ago, whenever they fought.
It was February 2022.
Yeah.
A little over a year.
So we did everything, you know, they're like, well, we can do a contender fight. We did the contender fight. We did, you know, and it was ducked. They just, instead of just being like, listen, we don't want to fight him, which is crazy to me that they were willing to fight you. All I can think of is they were in a position where, like, all right, if we don't fight these guys, like, we're going to get stripped, which I think is fair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, at that point, there's no excuse other than just fight, you know? I mean, it's not like he wasn't active all last year, too. I mean, he fought like 3 times after he fought Chris, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I just like that you punched him from pillar to post, dude. It was awesome.
I had to, because it was after all the shenanigans it was no
he
fun.
missed weight too, yeah.
And he missed weight. Yeah, he missed weight. He had to do the whole glove thing.
No.
There's no fight that's more fun than a Carney fight, honestly. Like, being in the corner for those is just the best, you know?
That was actually I felt you kind of fighting a little bit out of character, so I didn't actually have as much fun in your corner as I normally have.
Yeah, I was just mad.
Normally, I'm like, you know, I'm making jokes. I'm like, you know, it's a good time. It's jovial, you know, and I can give you, like, technical instruction, but it is so much fun. It's like a party because you're having a blast. And, you know, like, you sit down on the thing and you're smiling ear to ear, and I'm like, oh, great, we're in a good place. But I kind of felt you with the round changes from 5 to 3. I kind of felt like you had some urgency to really hurt him, and you fought just a hair out of character. At the TBA, you fought great. You fought, I'm going to say, out of character, which in a way that I felt like you should have been fighting, but not poorly. Like you I don't know how to explain it, but at the TOC, you had, like, you fought the same, but you had vicious intentions. You had the intention to hurt him. This fight,
It's personal.
yeah, it was. There was like you were pushing your punches. You were throwing everything hard. You know, it wasn't like you fought aggressively, but not like you. Versus the Tournament of Champions, you fought like you, but your shots had intentions behind them.
It was weird too, man, just because, I mean, really, even before the glove change, it was just hard getting into it. Like, I was just upset in the back. I don't know. It was just hard getting into it, and then just with the glove, the rounds right before the first attempt at fighting, I don't know. It was a weird night for me, because I wasn't even really particularly nervous going into the fight. Normally, I have some pre-fight nerves but it's a good thing. I enjoy the pre-fight nerves because, you know, it helps me get going. But with this one, I didn't feel nervous at all. And I don't know, it was just weird. And then then I was just mad once we actually got the fight starting. And it just kind of became a thing where I was having fun, but it wasn't quite as fun as some of the other fights that I've had. Round three, I was able to slow it down a little bit more, relatively speaking. But I was able to calm myself down a little bit, pepper more, pick shots a little bit better. And it was by far my most dominant round.
The whole night was a lot, dude. It was just like a lot of like emotion and like a roller coaster of just things that like, were going on for you guys. Like, interactions in the back, rules being changed, like things being moved around, like fight orders being switched. Like, I think it was just hard for booze. Like you guys just dealt with a lot.
Hostile crowd, hostile
Yeah.
environment. Like normally, I get nervous, and I'll go out, I'll have a drink just to calm my nerves, because I don't like to project my nerves and my anxiety onto my fighter. So I'll go out, I'll go out and I'll have a cocktail, I'll have a whiskey Coke or something, and try to calm down, or not calm down, because I'm not like overly like, I just don't. I want it to be a good experience. I want it to be fun, and I like to be loose in those moments, so that I can give my fighter that sort of, like, coach is cool, so like I'm cool, like he's not sweating this, I'm not sweating this, but I was afraid to go out in the crowd. Like, I was afraid to go to the bar, and when I finally did was when the nerves were really getting bad before Christian's fight, because the hostility came from his crowd and mostly his crowd alone, we were walking out for Christian's fight, and I just hear boo, like getting pelted with ice cubes, and like people are making racist remarks at Christian for being white, and just craziness. I've never experienced that kind of like animosity.
It was crazy too, because like when we first came, like they were really hostile, and we responded with like love. Like you threw your heart up, and like it was like the guy was cussing and screaming at us like, oh, it's cool, bro, like we appreciate the passion, But then like they were like, nah, like we want to get under y'all's skin, so they just took it further and further, and to death threats and racial slurs. And it's like, all right, bro, like to the point where you and I were like, when Chris wins, like we gotta be ready, because something's gonna happen. Like that.
I remember telling the girls that were I think one of them was a glove runner,
Paramedic, I think.
The girls that were working for Sparta, and I remember telling them, I said, hey, listen, like things are gonna get crazy here in a moment. Like I have full confidence that my fighter's gonna win, and I think he's gonna do something nasty to this guy. So just be ready, because like we're already getting, like I said, we're getting threatened. We're already getting pelleted with stuff. They said they were getting hit with ice cubes, and I'm like, this is gonna be crazy. It's like,
they
just
were on
prepare.
the railing too. Like they were already out there.
Oh yeah, like nobody thought to like walk up to the railing and be like, hey, you guys got to calm down. They were just, it was like almost invited. So it was super hostile, and at first I was very like, oh hey, we love it, like love, hate. Like just the fact that you're excited, like for me, the energy is up. 4,000 people in that arena, and like a fight of that magnitude, I was like, this is gonna be cool, And then very fast, it turned from cool to scary, like for real scary, And when Chris, so like recap of the fight. Montez smoked Chris, hit him with the nastiest uppercut, drops him. Chris wakes up on the impact to the ground, and he's up kicking, works to his feet. His mouthpiece got sent up flying out of his face. And I remember he's defending a takedown, and he motions to the ref, like he opens his mouth. He's like, put my mouthpiece back in. And the ref put his mouthpiece back in while he's defending a takedown. So he fought off all the takedowns. The times he did get down, he popped right back up. I mean, and I think that's probably what started demoralizing his opponent. But between 2 and 3, he wasn't or between 1 and 2, he was there. I was like, all right. He was like, oh man, I get I got hit hard. I got cracked. I was like, yeah, you did, bro. You're an animal. And, I just told him, I was like, hey, every time he sets his feet, he wants to throw big shots, close the distance, and he's going to try to take you down. So when you see him set his feet, that's your emotion to like make space or anticipate and start defending. I told him your Cuban hook is going to be there.
Yeah, get off that center line.
Yeah. So, and it worked. Chris listened amazingly. And then, when he fought off one of the takedowns, I saw his opponent take a big, deep breath. Chris was kind of peppering him from the defensive position. And then, when they broke off, Chris started throwing the jab and he wasn't as relentless with his forward pressure. I was like, okay, we got this, because Chris was fresh. He started landing big shots to the body, like beautiful jabs. And then, I shot one of our codes and Chris threw the left high kick, cracked him. I saw him kind of stumble a little bit and throw just like the slowest, most loopiest overhand. And he I watched him duck it. It was like slow motion. It was crazy. He ducked it and came up with the high kick. And when I saw him bounce off the cage and kind of fall face first, I was like, yes, it was like a movie. I was screaming. I could hear the crowd going crazy. I could feel things getting thrown. And I look up and Chris is doing laps in the cage, giving the double birds. And I'm like, oh no.
Dude, honestly, kudos to Montez because, there was 15 seconds left in the round, and if that kid wasn't such a dog and wasn't so angry and didn't want to just, hurt Chris and throw that overhand, he probably wouldn't have gotten iced with that second head kick. If he was, a little more timid, just punked out and, got on the back foot and ran, he might have survived to the bell. It was him just being so angry and wanting to give something back to Chris, but, he had nothing left. Chris just drained his gas tank that just put him to sleep. I
really think too the body work is what did him in even before the head kicks. I think Montez is already slowing down horribly just because of that. MMA, they don't throw. No one throws the body. It's all
head doubled up too. He went left right on it
twice,
ducking underneath. Twice. Montez is looping shots.
No, and you know what it was, I think, too, is that his body wasn't really in a position to get hit because he was extending on punches that he was trying to land. So Chris was, intercepting him with body shots. So that was cool. Whatever, the fight went. Chris is flipping everybody off. I'm like, oh, no. I go and run in. I pick him up. I'm like, bro, take this in. You did all the right things. Just kind of get him away from that. And then I put him down. He's taking it all in. And I look to the corner, and there's that angry hippo, that hungry hippo.
Trying to climb over the railing.
Dude, and he locked eyes with me. And now there's fights in the crowd between, I guess Chris had, people that he won over that weren't necessarily, they were there for other fighters that evening. They started cheering for him, and they got into it with the other crowd. So there's fights in there, and
the police had 9 incidences.
Yeah. No, and they were overwhelmed. And I see him break off from security, and I'm like, oh man, there's not enough here. This guy's, and he's coming over, and he's pointing at me, and he's going, when you get out of the cage, I'm gonna effing kill you. I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like, I don't know what set me off about that, because I was cool before that I was just like, you know what, dude, I'm very much I'm not gonna get bullied.
We were in a position to punk out. It was gonna happen. We had to fucking stand our ground.
No, and I, this has happened in other fights where I will hold my ground. I'm not, when it comes to my athletes, I'm not gonna back down. I'm not gonna, you're not gonna take advantage of us. You're not gonna bully us. I'm like, you know what, F you, man. I gave him the fingers back. I was like, come up here, you fat pig. I'm up here for a reason. You're down there for a reason. If you want it, get over here. And in my mind, I'm like, at least it'll go down in the cage on camera, But we got calmed down. I talked to the commission guy, and I'm like, hey, listen, you just need to understand, we've been assaulted this evening. We've been harassed all evening. My guys can't go to the bathroom by themselves. I'm like, at some point I have a breaking point, because I've been cool all the way up until this point. And we're walking back, And he somehow got away and came to the catwalk and was screaming at me from the other side of the catwalk, like. And Becca was there and witnessed everything, good. So we managed to go back, and then we're in the back room, and that's when I hear like there's shootings, like there's like a gunfight with the cops, like we get locked down. We had to barricade our locker room with chairs because the lock wouldn't work. So like we had to shove chairs.
Someone from their team came and like saw that we were in there, and this is post them telling us like, there was a shooting outside. It's like, all right, now they know where we're at. Like we don't have any cops here with us. We don't have any guns. Like literally 20 chairs against the door. I remember when the fight ended and Chris started celebrating. I was like, dude, like I'm just not gonna take my eyes off the cage door. And sure enough, like Montez's mom and dad trying to come in, people trying to climb over the barrier, and like we just like couldn't enjoy his moment because it was like at any point something bad was about to happen to us,
And they were kicking the other thing too. They were kicking all of us out. Like they were sending us to the back already. So it was like, bro, it's just y'all in there. There's no one helping.
Yeah, he's like, the official's like, you guys need to go to the back right now. I'm like, dude, we're safer in here. There's only one way in out of this cage in the back. These guys can come from anywhere. Like, y'all can get some cops to take us to the back and we'll go. But like, till y'all get this under control, we're right here where we can watch the one.
Well, the photographer that took all those dope pictures, she was down there. She was like, please make sure they get you a police escort. Like I've seen this crowd before. Like, please get a police escort. And that's really what's kind of spooked me. Cause like, I was like, oh man, this is like more than just like, like fight beef, it was like, she's like, they're brandishing weapons. Like, I'm like, oh man, here goes. And then, shout out Jeff, the promoter. He got us escorts and shuttles and
new hotel room.
Hotel room. Like, yeah, he really took care of us and he took it serious, which is more than I can say for some other promotions that we've been kind of, because we only travel. We don't get to fight in our home state. No one will fight us, and then the ones that do, the ones that do fight us, it's like we got to stack the odds against ourselves so badly just to get a fight locally. It's like, it's not worth it. And, I don't know.
It seems like, with Muay Thai, it gets rowdy too, but there's still a level of respect. Like with MMA, it seems like the crowded draws and like the energy is just different. It's more like a street fight and like people get real rowdy and just like their group was just like a whole nother level, But I don't know why that like the MMA just pulls out a different crowd.
MMA and boxing apparently, because this wasn't even necessarily just us that was getting assaulted out there too, because after that, the Roke Challenger fight, there were fights going off in there as well. Like, it was just a rowdy crowd that night. Just the atmosphere was weird.
Did you guys come to watch or partake, dude? Like, people watch fighters fight and they get drunk and they're like, oh, I could do it too. Like, I still got it. And it's like, dude, you cannot. Like, if you went against one of these guys, like, one, they would ice you. But, like, two, it's like you're just taking away from, like, what these fighters work so hard to, like, go and do out there. Just, like, sit down, cheer them on, and, like, shut up. Drop the mic.
Agreed.